Cecchini, President of School and Professional Conference Valdera and Major of Capandoli. Valdera is an area of Tuscany which lies between Pisa and Firenze. The School and Educational Conference is a collegial body made up of the majors of Valdera municipalities and which responds to the Tuscan regional law. Today, the Valdera Educational Conference is composed of 17 municipalities. The conference uses the Valdera Union offices for the administrative and organizational management support and for providing and arranging the educational activities needed to the schools and the child care centers. The Valdera Union is a second level body made up of 8 Valdera municipalities. The Educational Conference ensures the educational and pedagogical coordination of child care centers and school, nursery, primary and secondary school, through the CRED, Educational and Teaching Research Center. In the Valdera area, there is also a network of schools named Rete Costellazioni, STARS, which is supported by the local municipalities. They all regularly discuss and share projects aimed at schools, which are often, very often, co-financed by the municipalities. For those who don't belong our territory, this type of organization may appear complex. But at the basis of all this architecture is the patto di comunità educante, an educational community pact which has been renewed for more than 10 years between schools, municipalities and other institutions in the area, local yield company, Sant'Anna University and so on. The PAC represents the beacon to which local institutions look to in proposing activities aimed at students, from the youngest to the oldest, and their families. The VALVAL project, VALVAL in Italian Valutazione Valdera, Valdera Assessment, is located here in Valdera. It's the results of an institutional political choice with precise objectives set by the municipalities through a technical scientific project carried out by a board composed of majors, school directors and experts, Simone and Cristina. Today in Valdera we detect a decrease in the rate of school dropout, which is below the national and regional average.
Good afternoon, I'm Simone Mancini and today I'm representing the technical board of the Valdera VALVAL project. First of all, I'd like to thank the INVALSI Scientific Committee for this opportunity and the President Arianna Cecchini who introduced, but with us today we have also Mrs. Simonetta Radi as Unione Valdera Chief Manager, and Mrs. Cristina Cosci, former school headmaster and as the coordinator of the VALVAL operating board. In 2013, the Presidential Decree number 80 introduced a new national evaluation method for educational and training system. It represented an opportunity to activate new relationship between schools and Valdera area as association of municipalities around an evaluation project. On one hand, to begin constructive comparison between schools on their strengths and weaknesses, and on the other hand, to check the health of the territorial school system as a whole. In 2014-15, the 15 schools of this area, working as a network, began activities like facing together self-assessment in systematic way. For example, reading, analyzing and contextualizing the data from multiple sources. At central level from ministry platform and at local level from provincial and regional observatory. Comparing results and processes, identifying together common goals to be achieved, and defining a network improvement plan that includes common priorities and process objectives. Establish vertical improvement groups for each school level as a whole. Planning the improvement action, including indicators, targets, and monitoring methods. Implementing the planning action in each school, including teacher exchanges. Monitoring and evaluating the ongoing work, and then returning the results to the network annually and proposing, whenever necessary, a reshaping of the activities. The organization is supported by the school and by the local authorities. By the school, formally, as the President said, united in a network named Costellazione and operating since 2005. And by the local authorities, a local evaluation team, representative of the stakeholders with task of guidance, coordination, technical proposition and evaluation. These are the signatories of the 2015 agreement with the purpose of supporting and monitoring the experimentation of a new mode of self-assessment of educational institution that integrates different keys, disseminating the results. We have a list of the main actors: the school network, Unione Valdera as Municipalities Union, Tuscany and province, with the school observatory, regional and province school office, and also INDIRE, the National Institute of Documentation, Innovation and Educational Research, which oversaw initial teacher training on educational avant-gardes. And so, what are the results of the network work? In the first evaluation phase, 2014-2019, the priority to be achieved was to decrease school failure in transition for lower secondary to upper secondary school. In December 2019, at the end of the improvement activities, the schools produced also a joint social report that showed the positive outcome of the VALVAL project. Here we see two graphs taken from the regional student registry. The left graph shows the percentage of students not admitted to the upper class by orders and school levels. And as we see, the highest values are still the first upper secondary class. But we can also observe a decreasing from school year 2014-15 to 17-18 to 16% to 13%. If we compare the Valderas with the province and regional values as benchmark on the right graph, we observe that Valdera's rate is becoming the lowest, the gray. Of course, we cannot claim that there is a cause and effect relationship between the project and decrease in school failure, but also cannot rule out a significant contribution. For the 2022-25 phase, the weakness identified in the student's basic skill is the student's basic skills. And the new priority of the network improvement plan is to decrease the percentage of students placed in level 1 and level 2 of the INVALSI classification representing the inadequate levels of skill in Italian, math, and English. So, the strength of the project can be summarized. First, we have realized a coordination of the Valdera educational institution and municipalities around the territorial educational system with shared goals. Second, we have contributed to promoting a culture of data, disseminating a working method based on quantitative analysis developed at all stages of the process. And third, we have created synergies around a common weakness to increase the chances of success of improvement activities, because they are carried out in a coordinated way, as well as the impact of the entire territorial school system is stronger. We have permanent technical boards, representatives of schools and local communities working on analyzing and contextualizing local area data, detecting the most relevant weakness, concerting coordinated intervention strategies, and eventually analyzing and evaluating the initiatives undertaken based on monitoring data and targets set. Alongside the technical boards, systematic discussion are open to association, parents, students, and local evaluation data are planned in order to achieve broad involvement and to acquire input and suggestions. This is the ambition and challenge, not easy, of the project. For more than 20 years, territorial school indicators toward an area perspective have been used to identify strengths and weakness. As already underlined, we share the method proposed by the Ministry to schools in a perspective of area. The first level of analysis of both attendees and residents was possible thanks to information asset accessible in the portal of the Tuscany region about the regional student registry. The variables available include, on one hand, key biographical data as year of birth, gender, citizenship, residence. On the other hand, school attendance data, school, class level, course of study, outcome, and exit grade. The regional student registry information assets also allow a longitudinal analysis perspective, particularly in the transition from the first to the second cycle of education. Third class of lower secondary, first class of the upper secondary, as we already underlined as the topic, and we'll see in the following examples. As an integrated approach, we also use other national sources as open data of the National Statistics Institute in the web platform and the ministry platform like Portale Unico della Scuola. And in 2018-19, we experimented the analysis of the results of the INVALSI tests in a territorial perspective. Using microdata provided by schools, we made with all the data of students attending schools in the Valdera area who took the INVALSI test. We started with the ending classes of the two cycles of education, using the INVALSI classification, grade 8, about 1,200 students from 11 schools, and grade 13, about 700 students for 4 schools. For the workshop activities, the tools made available were translated into descriptive statistics indicator, cross-sectional and longitudinal analysis represented in charts, tables, interactive dashboards related to the Valdera school population, attending and resident. As far as possible, we use categories suggested by the Ministry and classified the indicator into context, data, context indicator, and school outcome results. And to this, we would like to add in the future extra school indicator that we classify as territory, such as cultural, sport association, job requests and offer, and others. The context of the Valdera school system mandatory education is about population of more than 15,000 students. 6,000 in primary school, almost 4,000 in lower secondary, and 5,500 upper secondary. As an example, we selected this style of data representation. In the first one, we have a context data, the presence of non-Italian students, first and second generation. The dashboard allows us to visualize the historical series and for the last available year, the data by institutions, by order and level, and the map also by territory. The rate can be also compared to the area, provincial and regional benchmark. We have already highlighted how the high failure rate in the first class of upper secondary school has been the priority to be decreased in the first phase of the project. So, as second example, we show a longitudinal analysis describing the transition of a cohort of students from the first to the second cycle of education. I try to open the dashboard from the web just to show the interactivity. The example is related to the cohort graduated in the lower secondary school 2019-20, attending the first class upper secondary. We follow 2 years from the first cycle to the second. In the upper secondary in 2020-21. First of all, the dashboard allows us to view the choice by school type, the Italian classification of upper secondary school, liceale, professionale and tecnica in the donut chart. We can compare the regional values on the left, we have the same graph on the left and on the right. The left one is the regional values, and on the right, the local Valdera area on the right. In second, it's possible to visualize the rate of school failure in the first class of upper secondary school by school type in the histogram below. The interactivity of the dashboard gives us the possibility to observe how certain demographic variables like gender or citizenship and school variables such as graduation grade are linked to choice and failure in the first class of upper secondary. For example, if I select non-Italian, we can see how the light blue change liceale from more than 50% to little more 30%. And then also the rate of not admitted in the first class from around 10% arrived more than 20%. Another example is the graduation grade. For example, the lowest is 6. If I select 6 as a valuation, we can see the not admitted are really high value, more than 40% in Tecnica and Liceale, a little bit less in Professionale, in the regions, both in regional and local data. I come back to the presentation. In 2018-19, we approached to INVALSI test result. The next ones. So we planned a model to create a territorial INVALSI indicator for Italian and math using the microdata provided by schools to compare with the regional and national benchmark. As underlined, during the first phase we focused on level 1 and level 2 of the INVALSI classification. So the third example represents a summary of level grade 8 of the INVALSI classification at the end of the lower secondary. 11 schools, more than 1,000 students. The two histograms on the left show the rate of the test summing level 1 and level 2. The top one is the results of the Italian test and the bottom one the math test. we had the opportunity to compare Valdera's value with the regional and national benchmark, and we built an historical series because the same analysis was also done in 2020-21 and 21-22. And we all know what happened in 1920, and that's why this rating is missing in the graph. In the end, the radar chart on the right represents the same rates of the INVALSI test in Italian in blue line and math orange line of each school of the network. The values are still the sum of level 1 and level 2. And in evidence, we have the highest and the lowest percentage values in the two tests. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them.